What's up, race fans? It's 7 o'clock. It's Thursday, and it's time for the Thursday Night Throttle live on Top Row Racing Media, presented by ELH Detailing and Federated Auto Parts. This is your look ahead to the weekend events in the Top Row Racing network of tracks and your look around Michiana Motorsports. My name is Buju, live from South Bend, Indiana, sometimes a race car driver, host of the Bull Ring Chronicles, host of the Monday Night Rewind, and host of the Thursday Night Throttle, joined by the man in the top row himself, Louis Noakes. How are we doing, Louis?
Oh, hey, we got a race tomorrow. It looks like so.
Yeah.
Finally excited for that. I posted 7 years ago, which Abraham Lincoln used that. Which is a really long time, but it feels like that's how long it's been since we've been in Kalamazoo. I mean, we're looking at almost, almost a month. It feels like.
Yeah.
It
feels like it for sure. I'm not sure how long it's been, but it definitely feels like it. And I think this is your best opportunity for a triple header weekend in the area, I think, so far.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and it's lined up so far that way. So that's where we'll have full coverage tomorrow, Kalamazoo, full coverage on Saturday at New Paris, and then full coverage on Sunday at the Night of Destruction. At least on this Sunday, it's a Night of Destruction, which is a little different vibe, a little bit different time management and all that kind of deal. It's a lot different than like tomorrow when I'm running around putting all the cameras on and then trying to do pictures and then making sure my camera doesn't blow off the roof and all the other things. So,
right.
It's a little different pace. So that's why I like the Night of Destructions is now, I mean, not only they're fun, but it's a different pace. I could do different things that I don't always get a chance to do, when I'm running around. So, are you going to do a triple header? You have Mother Day plans? I know you have the luncheon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Tomorrow I'm probably staying home. Friday's probably gonna be a day off for me, but New Paris Saturday, and we'll talk about more about that later. I'll be busy at New Paris Saturday, and I might make the trip up to M40 Sunday for the Night of Destruction. So
yeah, I figure
day of reckoning. Excuse me.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that's something that last October. I'm so glad that Johnny, because they're all busy today. So I'm like, let's do a special something. And I was going to call it Thursday Night Throttle Special Edition. And I'm like, someone's going to tell me it's not Thursday. And I just was not in the mood for that. So I went, all right, I'll use what was going to be the Thursday Night Throttle logo that you weren't a fan of. But, I'm going to use that for something because I did like it for something. So I'm like, what's a Wednesday thing? And I asked Google an option, and one of it was Talk Derby to me. And I went, it's catchy, but it didn't look good on the logo. And I was going to use that logo. So I had to find something. I wasn't changing the logo. I was only changing the words. So I'm like, need something that fits this logo because I'm not making a new one from scratch right now. But that's why he had about an hour that we, gave attention to the day reckoning. So if you're looking for something to do on Sunday, I don't know what they'll have, but I know last October, they had about 22 cars, and you're kind of looking around and, and even Jason was up there. He was announcing he'll be doing it both days this weekend at M40. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, uh-oh. And all of a sudden, I mean, they put on a heck of a show despite, for lack of car count, they put on an amazing show where you kind of walk out there, you're like, okay, they're not New Paris ready, but if they can capture this lightning in a bottle, they're going to be able to build something there with these now Day of Reckonings. So I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I didn't make it up to the one last year, but the buzz coming off of it was pretty high. So I mean, high expectations, I guess, going into this one. But yeah, sounds like they put on a show last year, and I'm a fan of what M40 does anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna try and make the trip up Sunday, and excited for that. We'll talk more about it later, though, and you can hear more about it from last night's Wednesday Night Wreck Fest.
Oh yeah, definitely, because all the payouts, all the rules, all the things are in there. Johnny again gave an hour for that, and there's things that I repeated over and over again, which sometimes I know when I did the South Bend Auto Show, there's things that I repeated over and over again. I'm like, you never know who's joining now. Right. And so, especially when we're live, right, we have people in and out, fans in and out the entire time. So you don't know who's missing, who's hearing. So it's one of those that they're, if I feel like it's an important point, I'm going to emphasize it over and over, even though that might sound like, okay, we already heard that before. You might have heard it before, but someone else might have just heard it for the first time. So it's kind of like, let's remember, that kind of deal. But other than that, we'll have plenty to talk about that after we get through. I already see that Ralph is on here. And we have someone watching from Texas. So
I
hello.
see that.
It looks like Art NASCAR from Texas. So look at that. Longhorn State represented. So
I think they say howdy in Texas, Lou.
well,
That was stupid. I'm sorry.
I'll just deliver my thing for you in
Oh.
person on Saturday. But anyways, although but wouldn't that be a stereotype though? Because what if they are a part of Texas that they don't say howdy?
Okay,
You
maybe.
should
Hey,
ask that. Are
yeah.
you in a part of Texas that they say howdy? So we can say, but they said hello. So in fairness, but maybe it's because we're Yankees. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's right. Trying to speak our language.
that's cool from Texas. I mean, we have
That is
people
cool. We appreciate that for
from
sure.
all over. Even Idaho will get like tomorrow. Oh, I can't remember their name right now, but he's been in here a couple times. But they have a huge following actually, and they follow what I do. And I went, well, that's pretty dang cool to have someone from Idaho watching all the time. So, so let's see. There's a comment. I'm originally from South Bend, so there you go. So
there you go.
the northern speak. But anyways, welcome again from Texas. That's pretty cool. So before we dive into the schedule, do you want to get to the throttle response for tonight?
Yes, sir.
All right. So our throttle response for tonight, or again, you can feel to talk about anything in the comments, and we'll engage with you. Remember, this show is about shooting the breeze and talking about racing and the schedule. So we definitely interact with the comments. Where Monday's so guest driven that we're looking purposely for different kind of comments, questions or whatever. So anyways, this one again, this shows a little different format. So it's what's something dirt track racing does that you wish asphalt did, or something that asphalt racing does that you wish dirt did. So, because this came up with the heat races not last week, but 2 weeks ago when we talked about heat races, where, that's been a conversation of, an asphalt, they don't mean much, where dirt, there's stakes on the line. So, so again, but if you have a topic that you want to talk about and put it in the comments, we can certainly include that too. So, other than that, it's now 7:07. So if you want to, are you ready to dive right into the schedule?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. We got to do. It's a deep schedule, so
It
yeah,
is a
we should
deep
probably get moving.
schedule. Yeah, there's a lot going on now. More and more tracks are coming on, and next week we have even more. Winston finally opens up next week in Michigan. They've made their comeback.
Yes,
So
sir.
Merritt Speedway is another one. So there's a couple that aren't on this schedule yet, but soon they will, because we're getting to that point of the calendar. So again, with our weekend preview coming up, we're first going to start on Friday, tomorrow. And this is as of now. If anyone changes anything, I have not seen it yet, or it will be new after the show. But right now, the weather looks to be clearing in most areas. So if you're looking for something to do on a Friday, Corrigan Oil finally swings open the gates over in Mason, Michigan, at the quarter mile up there. It's their opening night, and they have modifieds, front-wheel drives, Pierce stocks, and trucks combined, street stocks, and mini wedges. So they have another packed show. And this year at Corrigan, unlike years past, they're doing double features or twin features, whatever you want to call it. So it's a new format for them. They're basing it on what Berlin has done, and they're basing it on sometimes what Grundy County has done with a double feature lineup. So no heat races, if I remember correctly, and how they explain it, that they're taking the payout for the feature, splitting it between the two, and that's how they're going to go and do things. So again, that's at Corrigan Oil tomorrow. Then at I-96, they have a pink out, which with an 8 p.m. start time. That's their UMP late models, IMSA modified, street stocks, compacts, and 410 sprints non-wing, which I believe are the Great Lakes traditional sprints are up there as the non-wing. And then Birch Run has the Eve of Destruction starting at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, and that's their night of destruction equivalent to what a lot of tracks do. So that's on the. Have you been to Birch Run at all?
No, sir.
I've not
I've
either.
I've been to any of these actually.
Yeah, Corrigan, I think we talked definitely one to get up there. I like that quarter mile a lot. I've never been to I-96, but the owner has put a lot of work into that. And Birch Run is over. It's not too far, actually. It shares the exact same road as Auto City over on the east side of the state of Michigan. So if it's like 8 miles, I think, separates the two, but you literally drive on the same road to go from one to the other. So, but Auto City won't be open until at least June. They had a fire at their press tower and all that. So they have a lot that they have going on. But anyways, continuing on Friday, it's like I said, it's a long one, but I also did 3 per slide. So it makes, it's trying to add more information to the slide for those who are watching live with us or watch back, including the classes rather than us just verbalizing it. So Grundy County, for our Illinois people, we do have Brian Kusebo, who'll be joining us this coming Monday at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Your time over in Illinois. But we do have their first of a 2-day. They have a doubleheader. So their Friday night is First Responders Night, and that's their Mid-Am Sportsman Series. Pure Stocks, Crown Vics, and then Midwest Super Cups. So the little NASCAR-y kind of cars for Midwest Super Cups. And then their Mid-Am Sportsmen look very similar to like a limited late model, template style, but limited late model. And then over at Hartford, we just had Tim on Monday. So this past Monday, we had Tim. And they have their season opener. So they have the Great Lakes Super Sprints or the 360 Wing Sprints. If you look at my race pass, that's what they'll be under. And my race pass, if you look for timing and scoring, but they are the Great Lakes Super Sprints. Then they'll have their weekly program with the Super Troopers. There'll probably be like 22 of those things out there. And then Cyber Stock. So, and Tim just shared with us on Monday, Buju, that they've opened up the rules to that to match more of the Midwest Dirt Compact Series that Drew Jack has. So again, if you're looking for Cyber Stocks, you might see a little bit more of a mix. I know a few years ago, they had a really low car count, so they would run both features at the same time. So you'd have like 30 cars on the track, and 4 of them would be like the Ryan Crockers of the world. And then the 20, the rest of the 20 of them would be your Cyber Stocks. So now they're a little bit mixed. And then at Ulrich Kalamazoo, where I'll be, we have Autograph Night. The race program starts 5 minutes later. It'll start at 7:35. On my race pass, it still shows 7:30, but with the Autograph Night, that starts, I want to say 6:50 or 6:55. They'll have that on the track going up until they clear them off. I should have looked at the schedule to remember one more time, but I know racing starts at 7:35. The heat races are back. So for everyone who likes heat races, all classes except for the template late models will run heats. The only reason why they're not running heats is because they have a big show. They're racing for 2,000 wins. So that's what Donnie did at Springport. If you're racing for big money that night, you don't get a heat race. You just go put on a show in the feature. So 2,000 win from Munson, doing all that, Munson Builder. So again, that late model field looked pretty deep so far. Okay, catching breath really quick, but I'm going to give you Saturday, just so you know. You get to do Saturday, but Friday, May 8th, we have Kankakee, also an Illinois track. For those who like dirt track racing and you're kind of in the middle and maybe you're not close enough to Hartford, but you're a little bit closer to Kankakee, they have free hot dog night with general admission. So you get a free hot dog, and they have their UMP modified stock cars, pro modified, sport compacts, late models, Crown Vics, and vintage racers. And then on also still on Friday, we have Tri-City, excuse me. Messed that up. Tri-City Motor Speedway. And they have their rear-wheel drive night for figure 8 racing. So they have their B mods, which are like modifieds for those who maybe are not dirt fans. They have B mods, which are very popular, usually IMCA, and also super popular over in like the Iowa area. Pro stocks, street stocks, bombers, and then their figure 8 rear-wheel drive open. So while we pause here for a moment, it's a packed Friday in the area.
It is. That's a very busy Friday, especially. I feel like there's not as many Friday tracks anymore. Than you showed me that schedule. I guess there's a million still.
Yeah. Well, and some of those are like northern Michigan.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So you kind of get up that way, and then that's where sometimes Hartford runs into some issues. Is that like what Tim was sharing with getting late models? Is that there are some tracks up north who run late models consistently, and so you got to kind of compete with them for some late models that might travel down where. Down here we just don't have as many like dirt tracks, so it may not stand out as much. Where it's Hartford, or like we'll talk about Shady Hill, because they're racing tomorrow. That White Lightning that we had introduced several weeks ago, they're racing tomorrow. You got that, or Kankakee. So in this triangle area of Chicagoland that we just We don't have as many, but you go elsewhere and they have a lot. So, other than that, are you ready for Saturday?
We'll see. We're gonna wing it. Let's do
Oh yeah,
it.
so you got to get the voice ready for Saturday, right? So this is your tune-up.
So yeah, we're gonna start off at Berlin up in Marne, Michigan, with the Mother's Day celebration. They get an early start up there at Berlin. They got Sportsman, 4 cylinders, super late models, and VROA mods, the vintage mods up there at Berlin. That'll be a good show at a very tricky, misshapen track. Butler Motor Speedway, we're talking dirt. Here's some dirt on Saturday at 7:30 with the 410 wing sprints. All you sprint car fans, definitely a good opportunity to get up to Butler this weekend. They've also got the UMP mods who put on a good show. Street Stocks, my favorite class to watch, and 4 cylinders, which I race. Sounds like a pretty good show at Butler to me, Lewis.
Oh yeah, well, and I think this is their season opener too. Dirt tracks have just been annihilated, not just asphalt, but with dirt, there's only so much water you can take before you can't do anything with it. So as LaSalle saw on Tuesday, they got 2 inches of rain, and they posted, and some people annihilated them online for not trying, but you just see like it was literally flooded.
Yeah. And then another dirt show up at Crystal for their Mother's Day celebration on Saturday. They get started at 7, and their show is packed by the looks of it. Late models, pro stocks, mini wedges, Great Lakes Lightning sprints, IMCA stock cars, and bombers up at Crystal. So not sure what their admission price is, but it looks like you're getting value for your dollar up there at Crystal this week.
Yeah, and for the mini wedges, it's both. They have 2 age groups like most tracks, so
Right.
they do a pretty good job up there too. Yeah, so yeah, there's lots of racing over at Crystal, and I've not been to Crystal, but I've met a lot of drivers from Crystal, and they always have great things to say about that track. So definitely, if you're looking for something to do or you travel around, don't forget. I don't remember where Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club is, but don't forget in Michigan, if you buy a membership to the Michigan Auto Fan Racing Club, that they do have tracks that you can get into for free that day if you're a member. So I remember where they are this week, and I actually should include that because if you have that membership, you actually save a lot of money, off a general admission. So that's my reminder. I'm saying it verbally. So when I watch this show back, I make a sticky note about it. Next week, include the Marf night so that fans can pick, maybe if they're a Marf member, they can get in for free at a couple tracks over the weekend. So, but we have more for Saturday. So here you go.
Up at Owasso, the big Bob Finley Memorial with the Outlaw Super Late models. They'll have a deep field up there for that one. I know they've been releasing some names that'll be up there Saturday. So Bob Finley, always a big one, and this is going to be one you won't want to miss. Obviously headlined by those Outlaw Super Late models, but they've also got the Truck Series, mini wedges, and modifieds up there. So another good show at Owasso. They get started at 6 p.m. for their big night. It's autograph night at M40. I believe they also postponed Kentucky Derby night to this week, so that'll be part of the show down there at 40, up there at 40 for me. They get started at 6:30 with Mottville stocks, factory Fords, Road Warriors, Extreme stocks, street stocks, and limited late models. So another packed show there at M40. They put on a great show down there, and I paused because I was going to bring up the deep fried Uncrustables again, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you can get in line for them deep fried Uncrustables early, do it because it's worth the wait and worth every dollar. What a treat. And then finally, Shady Hill they're going to open up their season with their White Lightning Showdown. We talked a few weeks ago about when the show was originally scheduled, and they're finally going to be able to run this one at 7 p.m. on Saturday with UMP mods, Showdown mods, hobby stocks, dirt late models, and 4 cylinders over at another track I haven't been to. I got to get over to Shady Hill for sure.
Yeah, I've been by it. I haven't been to it. So and I think sometimes not Butler, because Butler's on a Saturday, so I don't think about it because no matter, I'm going to get an asphalt track, it's a lot easier. But with Shady Hill, we kind of talked about at the beginning when we first did the Thursday Night Throttle that, man, we both kind of forget that it's there. It's just it's there doing its thing. So, and if it weren't for Goodacre Photography, I wouldn't have known that track was there. I remember passing it as a kid one time. We were looking at a property right around the corner from that. My family was, but beyond that, I just forget it's there. And then we do have a Sunday program. Next week we'll have mini wedges to talk about at Kalamazoo. They have a double header, but they're not racing on this Sunday as far as I saw. Unless something changed between now and then. But they do have the Day of Reckoning at M40. So Grundy has a double header where they're Friday, Saturday, and then M40 has a double header where they're Saturday, Sunday. So on Sunday, again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. But they have the Day of Reckoning that starts at 5, gates open at noon, and it is for the Night of Destruction there. Even though it's Day of Reckoning, I'm going to call it Night of Destruction. It is a $20 ticket, which is pretty in line with what every other track in the area charges for, their wrecking events. So I know sometimes people, like when Reveal the Hammer was there, some fans were frustrated with the ticket price, but it's like, it's a little different game. So, this is a little different game for them. And Johnny, again, last night, if you go and look at the Wednesday night Rec Fest that I came up with like in a few seconds to make that logo and show in all the graphics that we had an hour with him that he talked about that. So again, this is a super packed weekend. I haven't checked the comments yet because I've been working the graphics for you. So I do want to make sure.
Galesburg has a full program on Saturday as well. Tina
Did
Lewis
I miss Galesburg?
We did miss Galesburg.
I know I made a graphic for Galesburg and put.
Unless I just didn't say Galesburg, but yeah,
No,
Tina's mentioning Galesburg. We don't want to leave out Galesburg. That's another track I haven't been to, but yeah, that's.
I know but I maybe miss another slide here somewhere because I made. Oh man, that's gonna irritate the heck out of me. But I know I made because I copied the logo over, so
we'll do it on the fly.
that irritates the heck out of me. But no, I did. Now that's gonna bother me if I miss. No, Galesburg is on there. It's above Grundy.
Okay, well we didn't. Yeah, we missed a slide here.
I missed. Okay, so I missed the slide. I'm like, I know I made the damn thing. So I'm like,
well, that's perfect.
The logo.
Well, this is perfect then. Galesburg has sent it Saturday with 6:45 p.m. with street stocks, limited late models, and Berg stocks. Shout out Tina Lewis for making sure that we knew we missed Galesburg. They have sent it Saturday.
And New Paris.
Grundy.
Oh my gosh! Fire the production manager.
Grundy wraps up their doubleheader weekend with 6-pack race number 1 at 7 p.m. Central out there in Illinois with the Super Lates, the Super Cups, Sixers, and Street Stocks. Again, that's 6-pack race number 1, and that is Central Time. So that's 8 p.m. over here in the Indiana, Michigan area, or South Bend, I guess, Michigan area. 8 p.m. our time, 7 p.m. Central. And then New Paris, Saturday, big Saturday showdown. 4 full classes with the Hornets, 4-cylinder street stocks, and limited late models at New Paris, and a fill-in announcer because Jeremy Wardinger can't make it this week. I'm announcing at New Paris, so we're gonna see how that goes. I just flubbed announcing the class list there, so we'll see what happens when they give me the mic at New Paris. But
at least you don't have to do production.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I will shout out to Lewis for reaching out first. He encouraged me to accept the open position for Saturday. Chris Highball reached out as well, so I appreciate that. And then shout out Chris and Terry for Chris and Tracy for trusting me to do it. So yeah, I'm excited, nervous obviously, but I'm excited to give it a whirl on Saturday. I've never announced big cars before, so we'll see how it goes.
Now I'm gonna click all these to make sure we did talk about Bob Finley. Okay, so I just somehow missed the slide, but I'm like, I know I made it. I was so again. Thanks for the comments for keeping us in line because I'm like, I know I made that graphic. So I'm like, I literally typed it. So since I'm the one that makes them, I'm like, I know I did it. But other than that, I know Rich Bull. We have him on this coming Monday on the Monday Night Rewind. He's in the comments. He'll be there. I'm guessing Haley will be racing the street stock this Saturday again too. Her second time out. She didn't do the trifecta. But she'll probably be back. And I saw Charlie and Sage Hannah will be there. And then I'm going to make sure that we didn't miss anything else. We did talk about this is
Lewis. Okay, you're talking about comments. We got all the slides now, man. We're good.
I got all the slides. I made sure I clicked on them extra. So that's so frustrating that I skipped one, but whatever. At least it was there. So
you're building suspense.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. But anyways, we do have Ralph on here who's saying that, and Victor. So because he's getting. I think he was saying that that's part of his pay. So if he can beat them, and then from Art from Texas he's on here watching, originally from South Bend, but down in Texas, saying we only have one pavement track left, and it's in Houston. All the rest of them are dirt. And then for the late models, Tina, $250 fast time bonus at Kalamazoo tomorrow. And then I want to make sure autograph session goes until 7:20. So I want to do a shout out to Sabrina. She better still be watching while I'm doing this, otherwise I'm going to fire her tomorrow. But one, Sabrina came down from last week, pretty last minute, came down when Galesburg canceled. They said, hey, I could really use some help with the cameras at New Paris, and she came down, and that's a far trip for her with the gas prices now, but she did a phenomenal job. I had drivers compliment what she did, so I definitely appreciate her. And then she handles the duties at Kalamazoo, and that's not easy, right? We're spread all around, and so and she does photography at the same time. So, if she misses getting a photo every now and then, her primary role, she is there to help me with onboard cameras to manage that. But, she's doing like 2-3 things at one time. So I just want to give her a huge shout out, because it's a lot to manage. It's not, I've had a couple people sub and fill in, and they're like, man, this is a lot. I'm like, it's a lot to manage, even though it doesn't always feel like it. It's definitely a lot. And then, I'm going to make sure that we didn't miss anything else. That was the Texas. And then Marcus Vitale's on here. So hey, Marcus, are we going to see any of the street stocks out, at some point this year? I know that was kind of a thing. I know they're doing a lot of mini wedge focusing, but I know they have street stocks in their corner over there. I wonder if we're going to see the street stocks this year. But other than that, you already said that you're announcing at Saturday and you're nervous about that. So, but what are you, when you think of it as an announcer, what's your style? Who do you think you're going to pull from? Because like Wardinger, he's from the Tony Eldridge tree. And
right.
So, that was a big influence for him. Obviously you've grown up hearing a lot of different announcers.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I feel like it's gonna be kind of a blend of everybody that I've listened to. I mean,
Yeah.
Ricky Bear is my all-time favorite short track racing announcer. I grew up listening to Ricky Bear at South Bend. He's the best. If we get a wave lap, I'm stealing his his wave lap line. I'm already planning on that. But yeah, I mean, Jason Seltzer's a great announcer. You already mentioned Tony Eldridge. He's a great announcer. Andy was a good announcer back in his day. Andy Jack.
Yeah.
Jeremy Wardinger, Chris Highball, so many great announcers around here. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of a blend of everybody, as well as Buju, I hope.
Well, and that's the thing that, right, you need to make your own style, but I know
Right.
everyone always has like influences, like,
Yeah.
who influences, if they, when you, maybe you don't sit there and dream, one day I'm going to be an announcer, but, there are people who do have those kind of dreams, right?
Oh,
And so
yeah.
it's like,
I mean, yeah, sitting in this room playing my PlayStation 2, and announcing my sprint car races and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool to be able to do it with the big cars, real cars in front of real people, calling races like Rich Bull, who was the first car I ever saw pull onto a racetrack as a kid. Now I'm going to be announcing one of his races on Saturday. That's really cool for me. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
well, and that's why when I reached out to you, I'm like, who do I know who I think could do it, right? And who do I know that, has the voice for it, and probably doesn't have big other things going on. Like, we know you're not in the car as much this year, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you're not going to be in a race car, and you really hadn't said where you were going. So I'm like, well, let's just see. I told Chris I'll reach out to him, and
Yeah.
but I have confidence in you, and you'll get, you'll not only do people get to hear you now, fans get to hear you now on the podcast, but when they watch New Pair's program back, they're going to get to hear you again. So just remember,
I keep forgetting about that part.
every clip I post, your voice is going to be part of it. So you're going to get to go all over the United States, especially then. So no pressure. But anyway,
Yeah.
and you see, we already have someone watching from Texas. So
Right. Yeah.
and Texas this year, I don't, I'm trying. I always, when I look at my top 10, I'm like, how am I getting Texas consistently? Because that's not been a state that I've had in the past. I could tell you, tomorrow who the top 10 are going to be. It's going to go from Ontario, Canada down to Florida. Like, I know the top 10 pretty consistently, but Texas has been showing up a lot more lately in Arizona. I'm like, who do I know in Arizona? So
yeah, big transplant spots though too. A lot of people like Art, who was commenting earlier, who moved from here maybe to the Houston or Dallas or Phoenix. Yeah.
So that's been pretty cool to see other states kind of coming into the fold. So so watch out for the skydivers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Bill's talking about, but I will watch out for the skydivers if you're going to suggest it.
That tells where the skydivers are.
Is that a clue for Sunday? Maybe at M40. Mm.
they're so creative over at
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything past them.
no, not at all. And plus they have a salvage yard. Hello, they can do kind of like anything they want.
Yeah.
So let's remind people the throttle response, because we're at the 7:30 mark, so we're getting closer to the end of the show here. But the throttle response again for tonight was, what's something dirt track racing does you wish asphalt did? Because we hear that a lot. Man, I like what dirt does. I wish they did this. Or what is something asphalt does that you wish dirt did? So for me, I think their heat race formatting I really like,
Yeah.
where let's put stakes on this so that, it's kind of, I don't want to say make heat racing great again, but it's one of those, right? You just kind of go out, and where you place is kind of what determines where you start in the feature. And I think Brock Gannis on another
Yes, I was
post
about to
somewhere,
bring this up. Yep.
he had a really clever idea on what to do and how to do it. So it's and he put a lot of thought into that response, right? You could tell, like, it wasn't
Yeah.
just, it's something as he's thought about, or at least he put a lot of thought into the response. And so I thought, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've been a big advocate for the twin features. I understand why people wouldn't want them, but I want to see what Corrigan does with it, because if it gets popular, that's 2 tracks now in the area who are doing it. And so it's like, is that a way to make it more interesting? And you don't have to do double features all the time, right? But it kind of changes things up. And for Berlin, I mean, I don't hear race fans complaining that they don't get heat races up there, where at other tracks, if a track says, well, we're not doing heat races this week, it's like they committed murder.
Right.
I'm not getting my money's worth. You're paying $15. I can promise you their $100,000 insurance policy, your $15 didn't cover much. So, but that's, you don't hear Berlin fans complaining about no heat races. So it's just kind of interesting. I mean, I know you need something. You can't just do one single feature all the time, but so that's something you hear in dirt a lot. What do you think?
I don't, and my answer, it's hard to quantify my answer almost, because so I've only gone to these big dirt races, right? In my short 8 years of being a big dirt fan, I've always been an asphalt fan. I'm new to the dirt side. But going to these big dirt shows, which have been dirt late model shows, it's the atmosphere is it's more like a college football than it feels than what a racetrack atmosphere has always felt to me, or maybe an older NASCAR atmosphere, I guess. But I mean, these drivers drive around with fan bases, and everybody goes down in the pits after it's over, and it's such a hangout. And the fan engagement just feels like, I don't know, the dirt side, at least for their big shows, it just feels like the fan engagement, they're doing something right that asphalt just is missing on. I can't put my finger on it myself, so I can't give you the answer. But I've been to these shows and I feel it. And dirt is just doing something that we're missing, and we being asphalt, I guess. I don't mean to speak for asphalt racing,
right.
but asphalt's missing something that dirt is hitting on right now. And I think you see, if you look at the trends, I mean, I feel like it's obvious dirt racing is cooler, quote unquote, than asphalt is right now overall.
Well, if you kind of think about it, it's almost like you get into the debates of like WWE versus AEW, NFL versus like indoor arena, pro baseball, minor league baseball, right? Like you get into those kind of debates where I think, you have dirt, asphalt. And I sometimes wonder, when I see on posts, one thing that I always see is that a lot of people feel like asphalt has the old school fan, the nostalgia fan, the fan who remembers what it was like back in the 70s and the 80s, and always reminds people like, well, back in my day, we had 47 late models show up, and now we get 15. We're not like, they're so, not in a bad way, but they're like, that's not coming back. It's probably not going to come back, or at least not tomorrow. It's not coming back.
No. Yeah.
Where with dirt, it seems like it's advanced and it's adjusted to the times, at least based on what I see fans saying in the comments section. I'm not saying that's what Lewis says. I'm just saying, like, when I read and when I look at different things, let's look at baseball, MLB, and Savannah Bananas. My mom, to get her to go to a sporting event is like, I don't know. I don't know that I can offer her enough money to go to a sporting event, but then she'll watch Savannah Banana baseball.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I'm like, and I don't watch Savannah Banana baseball. I see their clips online, but I don't watch baseball. But But I mean, look, what they just did at Texas A&M.
Hmm.
100 some odd thousand fans, and they've gone to MLB stadiums and they've sold those out. And you watch the New York
Right.
Yankees on TV, and you're like, there's like 5 fans behind the home plate, and the
Hmm.
rest of the stadium's empty. But
Right.
it's like, it's Savannah Bananas, right? They're doing something different, and
Yeah.
Dirt.
Did Savannah the Bananas just play at Bristol and sold like 100,000 tickets or something
That
like
was
that? If
Texas
I
A&M. That was at Kyle Field,
Oh,
Texas.
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I
Yep.
got you.
And but where
I think they are playing at Bristol though, which is crazy. I think
that
I
I don't
saw
know.
that. Maybe I'm
Okay.
making that up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know MLB had a classic there.
Yeah,
The
I
last
think I saw
year.
that Savannah's playing there too, but maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong.
And I mean, that would be, they're probably going to pack that place. So,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things that you just kind of think about. Because like my brother, he's a dirt fan, although he's surrounded by dirt tracks. But, you just
He's
see
in
where
Wisconsin, right?
he's in Minnesota now, but
Minnesota. Okay.
Wisconsin borders like,
Same
I think
thing.
20 minutes away. Up there, anyways. But they all have a Canadian accent when you get far enough. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but I think that's something that, dirt just seems to have a lot more sanctioning bodies that agree, on
Yeah.
things. And, tracks run similar rule packages to others where you don't
Right.
have fighting over like a quarter inch of something,
Yeah.
or an inch and a half of something where, two tracks that are neighboring, fight over that quarter of an inch,
Sure.
where these are like, hey, at the end of the game, this is
Yeah.
what we're going to do. It is what it is, whether you like it or not, and,
And I
but
mean, like you were talking about with the Bananas, it's the value of entertainment, right? Like you think about
yeah,
Gateway on the dirt side, they're selling out an arena in
yeah,
St. Louis,
yeah.
Missouri with race cars, and people are coming from 20, 30 something states to it. Are you really getting that on asphalt outside of like the Daytona 500? You know what I mean? Snowball, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and I
I
think
don't
the
know.
one thing Cody Geyer has mentioned this before, where he's mentioned like when he gets to go video for dirt track versus, because he does flow racing sometimes and Racing America, like he gets to go and travel to
Hmm.
other places, and he's a videographer for Great Lakes Super Sprint. So I think he'll be at Hartford tomorrow, with the top camera. Because they do live streaming for Great Lakes Super Spreads. But one thing that like he's joked about or mentioned is, well, I don't have to get to the track as early because they don't have endless supply of practice,
Yeah.
And you see on asphalt, it's like they go out and they go out. And sometimes I joke around with like our Kalamazoo drivers, our front wheel drives have 20 minutes, which with as many that they have makes sense. But at the same time, I'm like, man, there's sometimes drivers out there who ran a feature,
Yeah.
and then they'll go back out for qualifying and run another feature, and they didn't even get to the heat race
Yeah.
yet. And
There's some guys, and I'm not talking trash about these guys. I mean,
oh,
everybody
it's
at the
not
racetrack we can get, but some people just love taking laps, man.
yeah. Oh, I'm like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, they're out there having time of their life. Go for it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the lap counter, you're like,
Yeah.
damn, you ran a feature, and
Yeah.
how are you not tired yet? Like,
Yeah.
especially on those hot days where like I'm hot and sweaty, just putting cameras in, and you're out in a fire suit and everything, putting on
Mhm.
all these laps. I'm like, kudos to you, but and so again, it's no judgment to them. I'm
No,
just saying,
yeah,
I sometimes
absolutely,
joke
yeah,
about that. Like,
yeah.
you
I
just
love it. Yeah, run them laps, brother.
like I got a lot of pictures of your car because you were out there a lot,
Yeah.
and and you'll see like the street stocks. Breaking news. Tomorrow we start 8 cars, 8 laps for front wheel drive. So no, Tina, should I protest and say no more features in practice anymore? But that's pretty common what most places do nowadays, right?
What was it before?
You go out for 20 minutes. You just get in line and you go and you go.
Oh, okay.
You
I
go,
read that as heat races for some reason. Okay, that makes
Oh, no,
sense.
no, no, no.
Yeah, I did.
But yeah,
Yeah.
literally, because you'll watch the street stocks and they'll go out, they'll do like 5, 6 laps and they come back in and they're done. And
Oh, eight cars, 8 laps is perfect. That's
yeah,
exactly what I want as a driver.
and with Kalamazoo, it's still easy because they can rotate them on the track super fast. I mean, at Springport, you'd be, with the way they had the pit shoot and the way they've come off, yeah, every now and then you get someone who do like a parade lap and wave to everybody like they're
Right.
Princess Diana or something. But, and taking a few extra laps after the checker, and, Raymond would be like, with the flag, like get off the track.
Mhm.
But, with Kalamazoo, you can still get them lined up and still get them off pretty easily and all that. So I don't think that's going to add any extra time, but that might cut down some time,
Yeah.
on some things too. So yeah, it was, but and this was another thing because you could just get back in line. So there's some cars that were stuck behind, and I noticed that on opening night there's some cars that hadn't been out there yet. they got in line, but they got behind somebody. And once the timer goes off,
Right.
And I think it was the second session that they put 15 minutes on the clock, and they went another 6 minutes or so, which that could have been a mistake, and that it is what it is. I mean, because it's usually 20. And I thought, well, maybe with it being qualifying, they just want people like, let's go, let's get the show going. Because it's such a tight time between when they finish qualifying and then getting ready for, first cars to the to the front stretch at 7:15. Like Kalamazoo has it down to a science. Mm-hmm. Like they follow their program pretty consistently. Even with the regime change, like Donnie's not done anything different. Like 7:30, that's when the cars are rolling. But here we go. One car opening night, 28 laps. So
that's awesome.
Again, not judging them. Like maybe they're new and maybe that's their first laps, right? Like I don't judge them, but you just look at the count and you're like, especially with $5 a gallon, like a lot of those cars are using the same kind of gas that I'm using. It's like that adds up. You're doing a lot of miles at 28. Just on the pace car alone, they add 25 miles a night. To my drive, and so and that's in practice and everything. So again, we're certainly, just so everyone knows, we're not judging, we're not making fun of anybody. It's just, again, when we think of dirt, like tomorrow when you're at Hartford, the Cyber Stocks, they're going to go out for 3 laps and they're done. Yep. That's what you get. Hope the car's set up. Like if not, you'll find out really quick. And but they go out, they do 3 laps and they're done. Slinger, I was really impressed with Slinger. So when I was up there with Jude Jack, and I'm just checking time really quick, but when I was up there with Jude Jack, they kind of did like a dirt style and they also stuck to time management. So if they were running behind, they canceled the second session. And I was literally, because I thought, okay, we're running behind, so I'm gonna go to the car really quick and get something to drink, because I didn't get anything at the track at that time yet. So anyways, I go out and they announce we're running behind, and to keep on schedule, we're skipping the next practice session. So this class of cars that's out right now is it, and we're going straight into qualifying. And I went, oh crap, I got to get back. And so I got a really quick drink because I knew I had a few minutes, but they skipped forward and they went right to qualifying, and they sent 5 cars out at a time, 5 or 6 cars, 3 laps, you're done off the track. Next 3 laps. That was their qualifying. 3 laps, you're done like dirt. And their practice was 8 laps. I want to say they got 6 or 8 laps that they got to go practice, and they would have had 2 practice sessions, but they had so many cars. They said, we're skipping it because, 6:30, and especially on a Sunday for them. And so they got started right on time. And I remember saying, I wish other tracks did this. Like if you're running behind, you don't need all these practices. Go straight into qualifying and let's get it done. Otherwise fans get mad, fans get frustrated. And, I've said before, if I can watch the Titanic and the Green Mile and the time it takes for you to do your race program, that's a problem. Like fans don't do it anymore. Titanic's already long enough. It takes 3 hours for the ship to sink. So, and you got, Jack and Rose doing all the things in the meantime. And it's like, just sink the boat already, let's get it going. And, but even, and I love the Green Mile. I can sit there and watch it 24/7. But even that's a long movie, right? So it's like, if I can watch these movies almost back to back, that's a really long program. And that's a really long time. When there's remember when we had Irish Saunders and he had said the timing, and I posted that clip. What do you think? And there are people, still going, well, we can go all night. You can, but families can't. And it's like, it's not the good old days of 3 a.m. anymore. Like people don't want to do that anymore. And and I gave an example. I said, well, Kalamazoo has 101 cars. We start at 7:30 and we're done by 10:30 with 101 cars. So if you have half the car count of Kalamazoo and you take twice the time, that's a problem.
I remember in Stock Car Magazine when I was a kid, the great Dick Berggren wrote an article, 3 classes, 3 hours. I think about it all the time. Yeah. So I'm personally a freak that would be at the racetrack for 17 hours if I could.
Yeah.
I'm a rare breed. I understand most of the normal people want to be in and out.
Yeah, well, especially families. Like if you think about like Saturdays now, you have baseball, softball, soccer, so some families have been out already since 8 a.m., right? Or 5 a.m. getting ready for 8 a.m. games at the ball field, or so they go, they do the things, and then they come to the track. They've already been going, and some kids, they might have the energy of no get out, and they can rocket ship around the earth with
Right.
like no sweat. But you have families who they might go to church on Sunday. They might have different things that they can't sit out there until 2, 3 in the morning.
Right.
And last year we just had a lot of things go south at New Paris on the one night. Like, just no matter what, like nothing was going as planned. It was technical stuff, things you can't control. You can't control the internet going out and coming back. But we were there till 3 in the morning, and then that Sundays when I went to Slinger. So Charlie Hanna, I remember him making a post going, huge kudos to Louis, because he literally was at the track with the rest of us until at least 3 in the morning, and he's already in Wisconsin now, and I still had to drive back. Like, I was tired, by the way, but super tired. I'm like, I told those who would contact me, I said, don't talk to me tomorrow. I'm not doing anything racing. I am worthless at this point. But I did come home with a big ass brownie though from Quick Trip, and that was worth it. And but it was, I was tired. And but maybe that's our question next week, is what do you think a race program should be? Because Irish was one of our first episodes, so it's been a while since we've talked about it. But as Bill said, dead time at a track is not a good thing, and that's sometimes why night of destructions, you got to have extra. You got to have something going on. Just because that's where a lot of downtime could come in, and that's you're selling food, but that's what you're selling, and everyone's just kind of sitting there.
Something I've noticed in my research that I've done for the Bullring Chronicles and all that, with the documentaries on lost tracks and stuff like that. A lot of tracks back in the day had like mascots or like racetrack clowns, and I mean, I know the clown thing's probably a little outdated, but maybe there's something to that. A host of the show, I mean, you obviously have an announcer, and that's one thing, but I feel like that the downtime that you're talking about can be like, we at South Bend when I was a kid, we had Sparky the Clown. He had a toilet with a motor on it that shot fireworks out, and he handed out suckers to the kids. That's cool. That's cool to a kid. That's awesome. His face was painted like the American flag. He had his red, white, and blue head to toe. Sparky was awesome. We need more Sparkies.
Yep. Well, and Berlin has their deer.
Yeah. They have something. Yeah. Kalamazoo had a spark plug back in the day, I think, didn't they?
Well, we had Lugnut at Kalamazoo for a little bit. I don't know about spark plug. I don't remember, but I do
maybe it was a Lugnut.
But at Kalamazoo is Lugnut, and they walked around. They did different things. I mean, that's how Joel got to be an announcer at Kalamazoo. Is he, there's downtime in night destruction. He went out, did shook his booty and all that, and next thing here's a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
And that was like impromptu, because that was some setup time and some different things. So downtime when you have 6,000 fans that are waiting, right? And how do you entertain them? And that's one thing that Jason always did, and Joel does too now. But that's one thing that Jason always did do with like music and all that, is keeping people engaged, keeping the conversation going. So,
and that's what when we had Frank on the show a few weeks ago, which is a great listen if you haven't heard that episode with Frank Gasco. He said the hardest part of being an announcer is the downtime.
The downtime,
finding things to talk about.
Yeah. So that's something that maybe that can, like I said, that could be our throttle response for next week. Is how long do you think? And I've been at the track at 2, 3 in the morning, and I'll be there because I'm there, whether it's C, D, E, F, G feature, whatever it is. But I know for a majority of fans nowadays, that's not a thing. I mean, that's why baseball has implemented all their different rules that they have to shorten the game. Wrestling, WWE has done that, although they find plenty of time to put all the ads in.
Aren't their shows like 3.5 hours each? I don't know if they're shortening anything.
so it's one of those that, I think especially on Fridays, why, I know sometimes at Kalamazoo fans will say, man, there's just no breather. But how many people have been at work since 7:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and then they come to the track and they might have to go to work Saturday morning? Like Saturday or Friday tracks just have so much against them in that way, where people have been at work, they have things to do, we're tired, all whatever, right?
If I'm going to Kalamazoo on Friday just to watch, I'm going from South Bend to Elkhart, working 9 hours, back to South Bend, up to Kalamazoo, watching the races, and then driving back down to South Bend. So I'm trying to in and out on that occasion. So
Yeah, so that I think that's going to be our conversation for next week because we have so much that we can pull in from that and just see, what is everyone thinking? Again, there's no judgment on it, right? Like there's
Oh
some
yeah.
nights where I can only think of 2 times that I left a track early. One was at South Bend, and one was almost at Springport. Because the port stock C feature wanted to keep hitting each other every single lap, and I finally left the tower because I was already tired from the day. I had already been doing a lot that day. And I said, my track cameras are running. They're going to get what they get from the footage. I'm now collecting all my cameras. I ran out of patience. I was done with it. And so I left the tower and I pieced together that C feature using my 3-track cameras. And it wasn't the best, but I'm like, I'm done. Like my patience wore thin and it was the wrong night to not get 1 lap done in 30 minutes. So, and South Bend one time I had that because I was already at MSU earlier in the day for softball championship game. Came on down, got there, and I finally told my friend, I said, okay. And it was the Hornets. So I'm like, I'm done. And I left. And that was, so only twice have I ever left early. But again, like that, I can't get my mom to go to a racetrack because she doesn't want to sit there all night, And so if it's a short program, I might be able to convince her to go. I know they're listening. Right. So she might talk to me about it after the show, but it's one of those, like my Bob and I, my dad, we'd sit there and he'd sit there with me for most of the night, every now and then he left early, but like, we can't get mom to go because it was, well, I don't want to sit there all night. Well, I promise you, Kalamazoo, you won't be sitting there all night because Randy will get upset if we're sitting there all night. Like, he doesn't want that either. But
Saturday at New Paris would have been a good show for. We were in not quick.
Yeah. Like that. I got spoiled that day. That was easy to edit. But before we get too far down the rabbit hole, because we were talking about time, do we want to do our 60 with 6? Because I do see 51, so we're coming up against the button here.
Yeah,
so
let's get
speaking of time,
DJ in here.
We're putting the fun in things, but what does DJ have as a message for us? So here is our 60 with 6 with DJ McCotter.
What's up, race fans? DJ McCotter here. So something that I want to talk about here tonight is what kind of energy do you bring to the track? I've seen this every track I go, every season that I participate in. There's always that one person, that one group of people in the stands, in the pits. I see it all over Facebook is negative energy. Nobody wants to be around a downer, someone that's negative, always complaining about rules or it's too hot or it's too cold or this. Nobody wants to listen to that. Let's bring fun and positive energy. And key word there, fun. Oftentimes people like take that N off the word fun, bring that FU energy. No. Get that FU energy on out of here. That can F off somewhere, you know what I'm saying? So let's have fun at the racetrack. I mean, we get to watch cars go at a high rate of speed, surrounded by friends and family. So let's bring that fun energy to the track. I'll see you there.
So again, that is our 60 with 6. DJ McCotter, he'll be back on May 18th. So he won't be on this next episode of the Monday Night Rewind, but him and Keith Behringer Jr. will be with us on the 18th. So again, I'm pretty excited to have him back. And like I was telling you earlier, when I watched that, I laughed because I even thought with the one he did before, where I'm like, man, he could get into the preacher kind of stuff and just preach this like he's a Southern, preacher and just get that going with. So I know he's on earlier because he's a big Duke fan, so he's talking about the NCAA stuff. But yeah, other than that, I almost forgot because I forgot this on Monday. But it was also about to storm, so we kind of
we were rushing out on Monday
really quick. But to remind everybody that we do have a marketing special that's going on with the partner of Top Row Racing Media and also a sponsor of Matt Kemp Racing. If you're looking to get your car detailed, if you go to ELH Detailing down here in Bridgman, Michigan, again, take advantage of Lake Michigan. Right around the corner, you can see Chicago from our shoreline. You can see Michigan City and Gary, Indiana, and all the corners of the lower bottom of Lake Michigan from our beach down here. And but you come on down and you use the code Top Row. Then between May 1st and September 30th, you'll be entered for a chance to receive at least, or it's 1 full detail, but it's 2 total. So you could do both if you go enough times, because each time you go, you use the code you're entered. So if you get multiple details or you have multiple cars that get detailed, then that's just more chances. So the first name that we'll announce is on July 13th on the Monday Night Rewind, and the second name that we'll announce is on October 12th. So that is a $700 value that they're offering as a part of this. So again, you could potentially win two, but it is one person will get one on July 13th, and then the other one will be July 12th, and that's good within 1 year time period. So again, I know Sabrina Beebe already talked about her and Peter taking down a car from the Battle Creek area, possibly down there. He works in St. Joe, so for him to come down this way, he's used to that anyways. But again, with Bridgman being right on the lake, you can get some things downtown, food wise, and walk down to Waco Beach and enjoy beach day while it's getting while the car is getting detailed. So, and they do boats too, and they've done airplanes. So classic cars, daily drivers. There was a softball coach, volleyball coach in our area, does both sports, who has dirt from the fields and all the other things in the car, took it, and it came out brand new.
That's just what I was about to say, with all the running around the racetracks and dirt tracks and all that. My car was very much in need of a detail in the middle of last racing season. And with the promo run in May 1st to September 30th, there's going to be a lot of race trips in there. So it's the perfect opportunity to take a trip up to ELH and get a nice detail. There's nothing better than getting your car detailed. It's like being brand new.
Yeah, and I used to, I've done it at least once with each car, but I had bought a car from Tyler Automotive in Niles, and so I would get my car detailed while I was at work. That's when I worked at the college, literally around the corner. The campus was around the corner from there, so it'd get detailed, and I kind of got spoiled with that. But then I didn't do it as much, but I try to do it at least once a year. But now when people get in my car, they're like, "Man, did you just get this?" It's like, no, this is a 2023. I've had it for a couple of years now. It already has 40,000 miles on it, and like 35 of that is to a racetrack. And it's probably not 35. It's probably more like 31. But it's still, there's a lot of miles to a racetrack. And
the others are zoos and dog slinger.
yeah, dog slinger a lot. But well, I would joke with people, when I was working at the school, there and back was 10 miles a day or something like that. And I'm like, one trip to Kalamazoo is like many weeks of school. So, it's like, so yeah, this is mostly race mileage, but it's cool though, because I have people who message me saying, we just saw you in the drive-through here. We just saw you at the gas station here. And when I go to Ohio, I always stop at the Love Truck Stop that's just on the other side, because it's not a toll road gas station, so it's a lot less money to go there. And Patrick has gone with me, and someone else went with me, and I said, I guarantee you, when we stop at this, somebody there is going to come over and talk. And sure enough, somebody came over. Are you at Kalamazoo? Because they saw the logo, right? And it's like, that's a lot of advertising for Kalamazoo Speedway and me. But every time I go there, at least once, and I stop both times on the way there and on the way back, at least once, somebody will stop me to talk about Kalamazoo and racing there or whatever. So I'm like, I love the car, but it has a lot of miles now, and most of it's racing. But speaking of miles, we're getting a lot of miles out of the Monday Night Rewind. And this coming Monday, we have 3 guests joining us. Rich Bull will be up first at 7:05 joining us. And then after him will be Joel Aru from Kalamazoo. He'll be with us and talk about everything that he's done and has done from his racing days going forward to now being an announcer and part of Mini Wedges. And then at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Illinois time, and some of Indiana and some of Michigan, but Illinois time, we have Brian Kuseba from Grundy County Speedway, where he'll be talking with us. He was a racer. He's been a winner. Did some flagging at South Bend, is now race directing over at Grundy. So again, he'll be joining us on Monday. But other than that, we've gotten a chance to talk a little bit. We were going to have Brad West on tonight, but they had a family emergency. So if anyone wants to know more about the Power Wheels at M40 and how that's going to work, watch yesterday's episode, because I don't remember all the details right now. I just remember a ticket. Kids will be able to get a ticket. They're going to draw names. So Johnny Russell went over that yesterday, and that's still on Facebook. So I've tried to be purposeful, not about posting a lot. So just scroll just a little bit past this show, and you can watch what Johnny had to say about the Day of Reckoning this Sunday. But other than that, we're right here at the top of the hour. So anything else good for the group?
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Happy Mother's Day. Do something fun or whatever it may be, which could also involve being at the racetrack. So definitely think of all the racetrack moms who sacrifice a lot to be there, and always,
Yep.
some of them are racing, some of them ensure that everyone's fed and has their suits and gloves and and all the hats, for victory lane.
Shout out my mama. She got 4 boys racing and a grandson, and she's a true race mom. Shout out Mama Linda.
Well, and again, and that takes a lot of sacrifice to be at the track too, right? So Ralph just shared here, kids 10 and under, they get like a random draw. So there's going to be a ticket though. So again, watch the episode just to see what happened yesterday. But if not, tomorrow we finally get to turn left and go fast, because
we'll see you at the races.
We'll see everyone at the races somewhere this weekend.